And now, What's My Line? Brought to you by Stop at Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Poof Deodorant Body Powder, the body powder you spray. Finesse Shampoo, the new flowing cream shampoo. All in the first truly functional cosmetic containers, far easier to use. All created by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist. Time now to enjoy What's My Line?
And now, let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel of well-known personalities whose lines you already know. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, the young humorist who has his own television show and is currently in rehearsal with a new Broadway play, The Pink Elephant, Mr. Steve Allen.
Thank you. Thank you. On my left, one of the lovely ladies of radio and television who tonight, I don't know if it's visible to you folks at home, but she's all spangled with little spangles. It's very lovely. Arlene Spangler, or Arlene Francis.
Thank you, Steve. And on my left, a gentleman who we have missed very much while he's been vacationing in sunny California, and whom we welcome back with a 21-gun salute of affection, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
Thank you, Arlene. I see I've been moved south of the border since I left. And in the case of Arlene, it's certainly the prettiest border I ever saw.
Oh, why, thank you.
On my left is the famous news commentator and moderator of this show, and it's my first chance to say in public how good I think he is, Mr. John Charles Daly.
Thank you very much, Bennett. Nice to have you back with us. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stop It. Once again tonight, we're going to put our cameras on some people who've come to visit us and brought with them some very interesting and we hope unexpected occupations to give the panel some trouble, so they'll get some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a bit later on. But now to start things rolling, it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they've got to spot. So would you sign in, please, ma'am? Mary Flory, is that right? Take it easy. Nothing's going to happen. Everything's going to be fine. Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Miss.
Miss Flory, where are you from?
Glenline, Pennsylvania.
From Pennsylvania. Well, now, we haven't got anybody from Pennsylvania on the panel, so perhaps you'd like to go down and see what some outlanders look like. Will you walk down in front of the panel for me, please? All right, Miss Mary, you come on over here now, please, and sit down next to me. And on the basis of that chance to meet you briefly and that fine, clear, meticulous handwriting of yours, perhaps they have some ideas. Because at this time, we always give the panel one free and wild guess as to what your line may be. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she models bridal gowns.
Mr. Allen.
I think she models flower pots.
Miss Francis.
I think she's an egg candler.
Mr. Cerf.
I think she's going to be a bride herself any day.
Well, that may be true, but that's not the answer we're looking for. We'll let our viewers at home have another look at Miss Mary Flory, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But the panel's got to dig, and Miss Flory, the rules are simplicity itself. Every time you get a no answer from anybody over there on the panel, it costs the panel $5. We'll keep a record of it up here, 10 of these no's, and you have won the game. Miss Flory is salaried with that. Let's begin the general questioning with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Do you work for a profit-making organization, Miss Flory?
Yes.
Do you deal in services?
Yes.
Would both men and women be interested in your services?
Yes.
To learn new things. Well,
Would you say that your services applied more to one sex than the other?
Yes.
Is that the female sex?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Pink Elephant. Mr. Allen, excuse me.
Wonder what sex is left. That's the male sex, I take it.
Yes.
I see. Is there a product of any kind connected with what you do?
Yes.
Is it a product that might be found in the home?
Yes.
Is it smaller than a bread box?
Yes.
It is. Is it smaller than a loaf of bread?
Yes.
In a two-story home, would it be found on the second floor?
Yes.
Would it be more apt to be found on the second floor than the first? I mean.
No.
No, I wouldn't think so. $2.08 to go, Miss Benson.
Is this something that a man would ever, that a woman might buy for a man?
Yes.
Would it be in the category of gifts at Christmas time or birthday time?
Yes.
Is it anything that a man might put on?
No.
No. That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Florrie, is this consumable?
It is consumed in the use, yes.
In other words, it has to be replaced from time to time because it is either eaten or drunk or used up in one way or another. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, now, would this be used up by being put inside the mouth?
Yes.
In part, yes.
In part.
Only part of it would be put into the mouth?
You throw away the peel.
Well, what all we're trying to convey, we don't want to confuse you, is that you suggested that, you might put everything in the mouth at once. Well,
You
have
say
seen...
only part. Well,
yeah.
After all this is over, Miss Florrie, would I gather from this, am I correct in saying that this would not aid your digestion in any particular way?
It would not aid your digestion. There is, I believe, the premise that actually it does aid digestion. You and I have a quarrel about this later, but no. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, when this thing is in the gentleman's mouth, does part of it show at any time?
Yes.
He's no gentleman if it does.
Is this anything that has ever grown at any time, even in part?
Yes.
Has it ever been in leafy form?
Yes.
Is it any form of tobacco?
Yes.
Well, is it cigars?
Yes.
Yes. Bob, you got that. Now, wait a minute, Miss Florrie. Now we have identified the product as cigars, but what relation does Miss Florrie have to the cigar?
She wraps them? Or, that thing they do with cigars? Puts one layer on top of another?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm afraid we'll have to give it. Actually, make cigars is the right answer. Very good, panel. Well, Miss Florrie, you have done reasonably well with the prize department, but more, we hope that you've had a good time, because it's been nice to have you with us, and What's My Line? Thanks very much.
John, Mr. Daly, about this digestion. It may help the man's digestion, but I don't think wives' digestion are helped by it, are they?
That's true. I should have given you a qualified
Qualified.
summary. All right, now let's see what you can do with another challenger. You've already signed in. That is Ruth Cooper. Is that right? Will you come over here and join me, please? Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Cooper. And where are you from, Mrs. Cooper?
Center of the world, Mercerville, New Jersey.
The center of the world, Mercerville, New Jersey. Wait till they hear about this up in Boston. There's going to be some trouble. Well, now, would you be good enough to walk down there in front of the panel? They would like to know you a bit better.
Is that where the Mercer School is, Miss Cooper?
Mercerville School.
Well, Mercer me.
Merciful heavens.
Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Cooper, will you come over here now, please, and sit down next to me? And what we do at this point, because you've had a chance to meet the panel and they've had a chance to meet you, is to give them one free guess as to what your line may be, and we'll begin those free guesses, as usual, with Miss Kilgallen.
I think Mrs. Cooper raises porkers.
Raises porkers? Mr. Allen.
I think she lowers porkers.
Miss Benson.
I think she's a wardrobe mistress.
Mr. Cerf.
I think she works in a boys' school.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mrs. Cooper. At the same time, they will learn what her line is. All right. Miss Cooper, the panel's going to work. I think you know what the rules are. Every time we get a no answer out of the panel, it costs them $5. We keep the record, as always, right up here. And 10 of these no's, and you have won the game. This is the last usual bit of help. Mrs. Cooper is self-employed. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Steve Allen.
Thanks a lot. Boy, from that reaction, she must pitch for the Dodgers or something. Mrs. Cooper, is there, in the course of your work, do you come into contact with a product of any kind? I think these people know something. Is it a product that might be encountered in the home?
Yes.
Don't say anything funny about that. Could I possibly hold it in my hand?
Yes.
Is it something that a housewife might come into contact with?
Yes.
Could she conceivably come into contact with it at mealtime?
Yes.
Well, let me get right to the point. Is it edible?
Yes.
I gather from the reaction of the audience that this is something that would not ordinarily be served as the main course.
Yeah, I will have to say, Steve, you're right. This is not something that would be... Yes, it would not be served as a main course, no.
In fact, the reaction was so vigorous, I would suppose that there are some people who would not even like to eat this at all. Is that...
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, there's issue of personal choice in almost every decision any of us takes. There'll be some people who wouldn't like to eat this.
Let me think, what is edible that I don't like? Outside of food. Could you possibly put this on a piece of rye bread?
Now, the question, could you put it on a piece of rye bread?
Yes.
I gotta have a conference. Well, we've had a conference, and we have decided, since the question phrased is, could you put this on a piece of rye bread, that in all fairness to you, we should say, yes, you could put it on.
Oh, I think I'm on the wrong track altogether. Might as well clear it up, though. Is this the kind of a thing that people might like to eat, say, on crackers in bed, that sort of a thing?
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Would you be able to purchase this in a store?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Cooper, is this a liquid by any chance?
Could be.
Could be.
Yes,
Could
it
be.
Could be.
Does it have any medical properties?
No, I'm afraid it hasn't got any medical properties. 3 down and
A lot of
7
things
to go,
have,
Miss
you know.
Kilgallen.
Mrs. Cooper, is this by any chance something that unless you were terribly eccentric, you would never serve at dinner?
Yeah. Yes, it is something that you would not serve at dinner.
Would not
right?
serve
Yes.
at dinner.
Yes, you would not serve it at dinner, no.
But you have said that housewives would come in contact with it, and Steve
Yes.
would have come in contact with it. Do you think I might have come in contact with it? Does this have a variety of aspects? Would you have it around the house as a result of something else that happened?
Yes.
Would you have it around the house as a result of something else that had happened? Yeah.
Would you have it around the house as a result of eating meals?
Yes.
Is it something like garbage?
All right,
And
Miss
that's why
Arlene.
Steve wouldn't put it on a piece of rye bread?
That's why we were very careful to say, Steve said, could you put it on rye bread? Well, you could put it on rye bread. I don't know if you want to. But now we've identified the product as garbage, but what does Mrs. Cooper have to do with saying?
Is she by any chance a collector?
I'm afraid we'd have to buy that because Mrs. Cooper actually drives a garbage truck, which I imagine would be...
She has a collector to drive it.
Well, Mrs. Cooper, let's see. You have won $15. And our thanks for being our guest and What's My Line. Nice to see you. Thanks very much. Well, very good, panel. Now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we'll introduce our mystery guest. But first, word of an interesting new product. Special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends on the panel would recognize our guest right away, so we've provided them with blindfolds. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, John.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel. As you know, in the case of our mystery guest, we always dispense with preliminaries, get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Arlene Francis.
Would you be considered an entertainer?
Yes.
Would you be considered a leading man?
Perhaps.
Perhaps? Are you in pictures?
You mean the moving pictures?
Well, I knew he wasn't hanging in the Louvre.
We would like here, because there's a specific point at issue, to ask you to repeat the question.
All right, John. Have you been in motion pictures?
Yes.
Well, since there is some concern about the picture angle, do you also appear in television?
Yes.
Would you be considered a serious actor?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Might I ask, do you ever use any props in your act? Yes. Would this prop be, by any chance, alive? No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
You are not a serious actor, has that been established?
That's right, yes.
Well, are you then a funny actor?
Well.
Are you a comedian?
I'll answer it for him, Miss Dorothy. A very funny actor.
Do you have your own television show, one on which you star regularly, I mean?
Yes.
You're not just a floating guest artist. Do you...
I didn't quite get that, Dorothy.
Do you
This
work...
man is firmly anchored.
Do you work with other people in your act, either partners or straight men?
Yes.
Do you work with a woman in your act?
Sometimes.
Do you also work with a straight man at times?
Yes.
Do you all work together sometimes?
Yes.
Sounds heavenly.
Are you an excellent dialectician?
No.
That makes it 3 down and 7 to go. That is a subjective judgment. Mr. Allen?
Do you do impersonations?
Yes.
Sounds like Gable now.
Martin or Clark?
Did you ever have your own radio program?
Yes, baby.
All right, Bud. Are you over 40?
No.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Would you be considered a juvenile?
No. What is this? No.
No,
I didn't say delinquent. I just said juvenile.
Yes.
As delinquent, you might have gotten a different answer. 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Have you ever done any ventriloquism? No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
I still think you're a good dialectician, but I'll skip that. Do you ever make odd noises and impersonate inanimate objects?
No.
Make odd noises and impersonate inanimate objects. What do you have? Do you mind if
Well,
we...
like do imitations of things like pinball machines.
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Allen. No pinball machine, he.
Are you on the heavy side?
Yes.
It's too bad. You see, I had a thin fellow in mind. Do you work for a rival network?
No.
8 down and... Wait a minute. That's right. You don't. No. 8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
You're on the lighter side and you're heavy. You're a comedian and you're a heavy comedian. Do you appear on a regular television show once a week?
Yes.
Do you sort of not care what happens to you on this show? I mean, do they throw you around and You know, slide down alleys and carry on like mad and wear funny clothes?
Yes.
You don't... you are an American.
Yes.
You know, are you Jimmy Gleason?
No.
Jack Gleason?
Jack Gleason, that's the slickest French accent we've heard in a long, long time.
It was very, very pleasant being on the show.
Well, I must say it was a great pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, Jack.
Honor us with your presence. Would you say bye-bye to the
Sure.
panel? It's nice to have seen you, Jack.
You were very
We can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, sir? Jack? Jack Joyce, is that right, sir? Tell us, first of all, where you're from.
Ventura County, California.
Ventura County, California. Well, Mr. Cerf just came from Ventura County, California. Time is getting a little bit short, so will you just walk down in front of the panel, turn right around and walk back again? Right back here, Mr. Joyce, if you will, and sit down next to me. And the panel has had a chance to get a quick look at you. At this point, we always give them one free guess as to what your line may be. And we'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he makes golf tees.
Mr. Allen.
I think he's one of Jackie Gleason's riders.
Miss Francis.
I think he's an outrider at the racetrack.
Mr. Cerf.
I think Mr. Joyce runs one of those cable cars on Powell Street in San Francisco.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Joyce, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. Now that everything's all ready here, and we've got the scoreboard set, Mr. Joyce, I think you know the rules. Each no answer, $5. 10 no's, you win the game. We keep the score up here. Mr. Joyce is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, sir.
Mr. Joyce, there a product involved in what you do?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go. Miss Kilgallen.
You deal in services then?
Yes.
Do you deal with both men and women when you're performing your services?
Deal with both men and women when you are performing your services?
Yes, miss.
Are you inclined to come in contact with one sex more than the other, however?
Yes.
Are these men? They're
No,
not?
I think the question was, are these men? We'd have to say one, 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen.
Are they by any chance children?
No.
No, that's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francie.
Are they, by any chance, animals?
Yes.
You might come in contact with animals.
That's right.
In your work. Are there a variety of animals in your job?
No.
And that would make it 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Joyce, are these animals that are raised in California?
Not.
Well, they are. Some are raised there, and we'd have to answer you in a qualified sense.
I would
there,
say then there aren't very many of these animals in California. Is that correct?
Yes, there are not very many animals.
Have these,
you should be moderator. That was very good. Congratulations. Go
have
on,
these
Mr. Cerf.
animals been imported for exhibition rather than for farming of some sort?
Yes.
Would you find them in a zoo?
Yes.
Have you got something to do with a zoo?
No.
No, that's 5 down and 5 to go. But Bennett, you opened a lot of doors. Miss Kilgallen.
Are these animals which are ever performing animals?
Yes.
Have they got 4 legs or hands and feet or whatever you want to call them?
4 legs, yes, miss.
Do they sometimes stand up and walk around like this?
No, wait, you mean stand up on their hind legs and walk around?
Yes.
No, thank you very much. That's 6 down and 4 to go. Mr. Allen.
But they have 4 legs, is that right?
4 something.
I presume they never have any more than 4 legs, is that correct?
Yes, you are right in presuming they don't have more than 4 legs.
Do they have fur?
Yes.
Do they ever bite?
Yes.
Why don't you get rid of them?
All right, Steve, one more question. Our time is running out.
Do your animals perform, with you?
Yes.
Are you an animal trainer?
Yes, he is, but that isn't enough. So we'll have to, time has run out, and Mr. Joyce will get the full prize by default. You had the right idea. Actually, he trains camels. You know, the Pollock Brothers Shrine Circus that does so much good for crippled youngsters. Well, he has a trained camel group, and they do wonderful work.
What does he train them to do?
The only
To
one in
smoke
the world.
them.
He trains for camels. Thank you very much, Mr. Joyce, and you get the full prize. Nice to have you again. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at one of our guests whose line our panel is going to be asked to try and identify on next week's program. At the same time, our panel of experts will be asked, what's my line by this man? Would you know what his occupation is? Could you spot his line? Well, for answers to these and a good many other questions, some of them serious and some of them hilarious, be sure and join us again next Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when once again Stop-It invites you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly television series, and don't forget What's My Line on Wednesday nights on CBS Radio. Until we see you again, then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Steve.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Bennett.
Sure nice to be back. Good night, John.
And nice to have you back. Good night, and glad to have you with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production in association with the CBS Television Network.